games have long ceased to be something childish, simple and monotonous. In the last 30 years, the gaming industry has jumped so high that in terms of content, meaning, ideas and production, it sometimes overtakes movies. Games as a form of storytelling are inherently very deep and varied. They can provide completely different experiences and yet yours will be unique, which is not the case with movies or books. With the advent of a stable internet, the industry is flooded with multiplayer games, MMO, shooters. In these games you can enjoy with friends, have fun and have a good time. But the single player games have not gone anywhere. Quality really became less, but for the last 10 years came out not a few good games, in which you are left alone without online, chat and other things that could distract from the enjoyment of solitude in the game. When you are constantly in touch with the outside world, which always wants something from you, you always write to you always owe something to someone, it is very tiring, and therefore sometimes they come to the rescue. In these games you can get away from it all and just wander around the world. This is very well handled by open worlds like Skyrim or sandboxes like Minecraft. In such a world you are alone, you can go anywhere, get into a place that interests you, and no one will say anything to you. Even those NPCs who will be in the game, they will not care. In this world you can do whatever you want, you are given freedom and have to use it. It's up to you. And that's why in some works you can find the peace of mind that is so necessary in the present world for almost any person, even if temporary and virtual. There is a whole layer of single player video games that allow you to relax, explore the world and enjoy, even just from the banal traveling through it. If we have no other opportunity to get away from everyday life, work and everything around us, we immerse ourselves in something we love, where we return periodically just to feel comfortable, safe, to just think about something of our own, or on the contrary to distract ourselves. Today it's increasingly difficult to achieve this state. We are constantly busy absorbing a variety of information, scrolling through social media feeds, listening to music, podcasts, watching videos, movies, TV series, reading books and playing games. We avoid solitude whenever possible, but what if some games can give that very feeling? And this feeling they can give in very different ways. Today we will talk about such games. And we will start suddenly with such series of games as Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Elden Ring, for example, is one of those games in which you feel a kind of desolation that pervades you, but at the same time this feeling is pleasant. Of course, until the first encounters with the next boss. But with all this, in this game you are always alone. There are only walking hollow creatures around you to fight, and meetings with NPCs are too fleeting and don't give you the feeling that there is someone else in this world besides you. You are thrown into a dark, cold, unfriendly world, albeit a very beautiful one at times, and all you can do is keep moving forward, facing bosses and roaming the world, exploring all its secret nooks and crannies. It's this sense of alienation and isolation that makes many video games so appealing as a form of storytelling. But why? Yes, alienation and isolation isn't a particularly appealing term, but still doomerism and anything related to something like that has become far too popular and widespread in recent years. For example, games about survival in the open world. And also in recent years the tendency to survival has decreased. Those projects that are worth something offer to feel such a strange but at the same time cozy and pleasant experience of solitude. Often in such games you are thrown into a hostile world, where resources, supplies, food and water are limited, and in order to live at least some time you have to get it all and fight for them. You are encouraged to get into the essence of the game and stop thinking about anything else. That said, you can run into players in online games like DayZ, but these encounters can happen as often as one every 2, 3 or 5 hours of gameplay. In such cases, their encounters are extremely unexpected and adrenaline pumping, because you can be killed or just talk, share supplies or a few words and go on your way. And even in this case, the feeling we are talking about will not leave you. Even so, there are other people here, but this is not the case in every survival game. But in DayZ, due to its very slow pace, where you can actually wander through an extremely picturesque forest for hours, this doomer vibe won't leave you, because in this game, for example, while waiting out another night by the fire, you can put your thoughts aside and enjoy the crackling of food and the noise of the trees. Of all survival games, DayZ was the first to do this, and it still manages to evoke that special feeling of alienation and loneliness. And that's why, as strange as it may sound, living worlds in games where you try to be entertained in any way, where you are given hundreds of activities just to keep you from getting bored, just overloading you with information, never feel as strong as empty ones. Where you are given more freedom, activities that you want to do or not, than just wander around. Minecraft, on the other hand, was the game that brought all of the above to the forefront. In single-player mode, the only friendly and any amount of intelligent creatures you encounter in the game are the villagers who just wander around and offer to trade. The fun in Minecraft comes from being creative and exploring the endless world. Minecraft is the most anything but obvious example of such games. After all, here you are really alone in front of a completely unique world, which to everything else is infinite. In the procedural generation, in the latest version of Minecraft, sometimes makes you gaze uninterruptedly into the local insanely beautiful landscapes. Transferring yourself to a big, desolate virtual world is a kind of meditation, during which you can really turn off your brain, not even thinking about anything of your own anymore. You'll just enjoy the fact that absolutely nothing bothers you. Another example is the Long Dark. Here you have to survive in the winter frozen ground, where you also have no one and the environment itself is trying to kill you, among other living things in the form of wolves and bears. You need to keep an eye on the sub-zero temperatures, which can be even lower, collect various supplies, food, water, find more and more warm equipment and weapons to fight off the animals, and to live through the long winter nights, shelter in some abandoned house, having melted the stove with soaked matches. You wander around the locations, collect something and think only about how to live the next night without dying of a hypothermia. Using this tool, the story component in such games is often simple and uncomplicated, and sometimes even absent. But at the same time, it does not exclude complex, deep plots, an example of which is Death Stranding, in which you seem to be mostly alone and just carry puzzles. But in the end, everything is much deeper. All types of narrative in different types of pop culture are good in their own way, but video games have a distinct advantage in this regard. You can explore every inch of the world, know every shortcut, every path, every hideout. And sometimes the world changes with every load, sometimes it is constant, and in the case of the same Minecraft, it is infinite and absolutely unique. The impression of the game will belong only to you, and this impression, as well as your character, will be unique. Loneliness is usually seen as a negative emotion, but in games it is not. It is a connecting thread between what the creators offer and what you take with you. Even in some action games, the slow, desolate moments are often the most memorable, such as The Last of Us Part 1 recently passed, where at some points you are given to just wander around the remnants of a former civilization and see how nature has taken over in this world. Ultimately, our enjoyment of a narrative depends not only on what we bring to it, but also on what the creators offer. Different tools will always do better in different ways, and games are almost uniquely capable of conveying desolation as well as whole range of other human emotions and sensations. Another difference is the consistency of pace. Books, TV shows and movies decide for themselves how fast to progress, while some games leave the decision almost entirely up to you. To immerse yourself in a game and feel alone in its world is to plunge into a new reality, and this is achieved not only by progressing through the game, but also by temporarily disconnecting yourself from your everyday thoughts by existing in a different place. And what are your favorite games for being alone? Write in the comments.